Hey, here I am. I think I'm here. Can you hear me, Adam? I can't. I wonder what I want I'll introduce him, and then I'll play about getting near each other. Might be a little snafu. Who knows? Ladies and gentlemen, I met this guy a few months ago on a little podcast thing. Segment Mark Hill. And I've been a fan of his for a while now. And I met him. It was all over for me. I don't know about it. It was all over for me. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Adam Mock.
What's up?
Hey there. How you doing?
You sound kind of like a robot to me right now. Like I can see you, but you're real static. Is that on my end?
I think it might be on your end.
Uh-oh.
Do I sound okay? On the live stream, I think my wife is watching.
Robot sounding. Yeah, the Weekend Tryhard says robot sounding. You sound I couldn't hear your intro.
I do sound robot-y. This is weird for me.
This is the joy of live podcast, Johnny. Now there's no sound from you, but I could see you clearly. Yep, audio's off right now. Can everyone hear me right now?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you now. You sound wonderful. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Woo!
I didn't know how to chat with you beforehand. I'm still new at the live stream thing.
I think it's great. You got it dialed in. This is wonderful. As long as you can hear me.
If it was messed up before, folks, I met this guy a couple months ago on Mr. Mark Hill's The Segment podcast, and I was ecstatic because I was a huge fan before. And I remember when he was introducing you without even saying your name, I knew who you were.
That's cool. That makes my heart smile, man. That's great.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate this.
Thank you. I'm stoked to be here. I love what you're doing. Actually, you're so infectious, man. You have like this popping, crackling charisma about you. So I was looking forward to this. It's going to be a fun one.
I hope I can keep it up. I mean, hold on. Let's go to the your audio is good. Who's this we got here? MTB Nick 123. I don't know if it's a phone. I can't hear. It's the audio. Okay. Most of the people are saying,
yeah, I think we got it fixed now.
My man, birthday boy, loud and clear, boys.
There we go.
Happy birthday.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate that. I hit
5-0.
Yeah, they call it the big 5-0. A lot of pressure to that one.
How did you feel going into it?
I felt great. I didn't feel 50, but like I said, there's just kind of a lot of hype. Like you got to make that one count. But no, it was wonderful. I got a really, really wonderful gift of a lot of friends, family, people in the MTB community. Had a chance to kind of send in snippets of a video just wishing me happy birthday. And my friend Ben Thomas put that together, and it was just wonderful. I was telling people, it's one of these really rare gifts where it's kind of like a eulogy while you're alive. And it's really kind of wonderful to be like, wow, that's so sweet. So it's great.
Yeah, it's now going into 50, were you feeling anything? Like, was there a pressure? Was there like, oh my gosh, I'm at the halfway mark? Because I know when I was turning 40, I felt it. 50, there came to a point where I was like, you know what? I've done it. I've made it to 50.
Yeah.
I no longer care about anything now.
I gotta say, I felt incredibly grateful. I sincerely did. I've done a lot of reflecting on just life in general. We're at that age where we've had, unfortunately, the experience of losing some people, around us, and so I just felt incredibly grateful for the life that I've led, and every opportunity and hopes and things I aspire for in the future. So I don't feel like it's that halfway point or anything, but I feel very conscientious about the fact that nothing is guaranteed. So I'm grateful for every day.
Yeah, I don't know about halfway point, but I definitely felt like I reached a point where I'm living a dream. I'm living the way I've always dreamt of living.
Mhm.
and I'm where I'm at. You know what I mean? It's 50 was weird. Hey, did you get the AARP stuff yet?
I think I got it about a month ago, which was, you're kind of like, oh, okay,
I'm not
okay.
retired yet. You know?
Blair's in the 50 AF club as well. That's really cool.
This
Blair's
is
such a great guy.
this is what I like about this chat thing. Although the live thing does, I was a little bit hesitant about doing it because of the chat stuff,
Mhm.
because I have ADHD and I'm
Okay.
all over the place.
Yeah.
And my train goes off the track all the time.
I think it's wonderful. It's like the beloved peanut gallery, and like you see your friends and meet new people in it. I think it's super cool.
Yeah. And you got a lot of your fans, a lot of your riding buddies.
Got some friends on here. It's great. SoCal scene showed up. You're representing the SoCal scene. I see an MTV Rad Dad hat, an Unspoken shirt on. Keeping it coast to coast.
You got to. If I'm going to be on this thing, I gotta advertise. I gotta let people know.
Just so you know, some of your sound right now is starting to crackle again. I don't know if it's like that for anybody else. Let us know if that's the case. I can hear you, but you're cutting into that, I don't know, that cool Mr. Freeze Batman effect. If that's what you're going for, you're nailing it.
I'm nailing it. Is it still bad?
It's got that fuzz. We can hear from the chat if it's like that for everyone.
Testes. I have 1, 2 testes. Oh, okay.
I can hear you. There's just this weird like buzz that's following you. Yeah, Blair's saying there's a crackle in the background for you, Johnny.
Still?
Yeah.
Still. I'm gonna unplug.
Okay.
I apologize. I don't know what.
Go for it. Johnny used the consummate professional. If you can't see this right now, he's blowing old school, like how you would blow on the Nintendo cartridges. He was doing that to the AV equipment. You never know, that could work, right?
You can tell I work in television professionally.
Hey, and now you sound wonderful again.
Time to invest in a new one, a new microphone. Okay, we got some crack. For those of us or those who are watching that don't know Mr. Mock, where do you reside? What do you do? What's happening? Family, friends, talk to me.
Oh, you cast a wide net on that one.
Yeah, just throw it out there. Talk about where you live. What's happening?
I'm in Southern California, Aliso. So if you watch any MTB videos on Aliso and Wood Canyons, that's my backyard. Also the backyard of Air Blair, who's in the chat right now, MTB Raging, handful of us over here. So I'm in the Aliso area, SoCal. What I do is kind of all over. Two main buckets that I occupy, and I'm really grateful that my life has now elevated towards much more purposeful vocation, is I've been a professional artist for over 20 years, so I still do a lot of artwork on things. Love doing artwork, anything from logos to new designs, concepts. It's just I grew up on it, wanted to be a comic book artist for a long time. Really grateful for every opportunity that I've had with that and continue to have. But really what takes up most of my time is I'm a leadership coaching specialist. So I see an LCS after my name on my Instagram handle. And so I was trained by a 30-year clinical psychologist and master coach, Dr. Douglas McKinley. He's the author of The Resiliency Quest. He hosts a podcast called the Leadership Currency Podcast. And I was fortunate enough to become friends with him. And I remember being out at lunch with him one day and saying, I want to know everything you know. And he said, okay, Adam, if you're serious, I'll teach you everything I know. Radically changed my life. And so now I get to make great leaders. And a lot of times people hear that and they think, okay, Adam just works with people like in corporations. And I do. I get to work with a lot of people in organizations. But I was getting frustrated with the idea that the tools that I learned that were helping people in these organizations were really only accessible to them. But the tools work and the tools are great for everyone. So I started expanding out, just using leadership concepts to help people rescue their dreams. And I say rescue your dreams, transform your reality. And I try and make it accessible to everybody. So I work sometimes with couples and individuals, and I speak to large groups and such. So that's what I do. Even this morning, I did a brand new training for an entire group at an organization, actually at Nike. And just wonderful to be able to connect with them. I'll be able to do it all week this week.
Wow, you're working with Nike.
Work with Nike, Jordan Brand, various organizations. Those are some of the big ones. That includes Converse, things like that.
Oh, let's just get this out of the way.
Look at everyone.
Let's just get this kid out of the way.
That's so great. I love
Mark.
seeing everybody in here. Nick's in here, Blair's in here, Raging Tim Haley's in here. Some good people, really good people.
Everyone likes Mark.
Of course. What's not like? What is there not to like?
You
About
want to get
Mark
him
Hill?
and you want to hold him like a little baby.
Just
And
great.
So tell me, you got family over there?
I do, yeah. So I've been married for 25 years. So two big milestones for me. I turned 50, and earlier in the month, that was on September 29th. September 7th, I had my 25th wedding anniversary.
Wow, congratulations on that. Wow, half your life with the love of your life.
Yeah, half my life with my wife. It's great. Sounds like the beginning of a wonderful poem. Have a 24-year-old daughter, 18-year-old son, super independent. I love my family. You know, everyone gets to be who they are, and it's just no one's like forcing anything on anybody or trying to put them in a mold that doesn't work. Yeah, man, grateful.
What kind of art do you do, or what kind of art did you start doing? Were you hand drawn? Are you a graphic artist? Or
yeah, so I started off earlier when I was younger. I was an illustrator because I wanted to draw comics. So I would help out at independent comics, do some comic book covers. Started leading to things like coloring books, posters. Then in around early 90s, like early onset of Photoshop, where you would set a filter and walk away, I worked for a test store that was owned by Kodak and Hallmark. It was a collaboration on a store called Image Gallery. And I started learning Photoshop then because I would do a lot of photo restorations and collages for clients. You can come in and get all kinds of custom work done. So then I started getting more into adapting the traditional illustrated side to the digital side. And from there, I started just, enjoying manipulating photos. What it led to, though, was for a while, for almost 15 years, I did book covers. I've done work I've done on book covers has been around the world. And so my style changes depending on what the need is. So I've done everything from like romance covers, horrors, mysteries, anything like that, directing photo shoots. And so my art kind of encompasses whatever style is needed. I can most likely do it or adapt it. But my background is more in that cartoon comic book style.
Wow, man, that's just fascinating to me, because I used to doodle when I was a kid, and I wanted to be a cartoonist when I was younger. And as the time goes on, you stop doodling because you don't have the paper or the notebook that you used to have in front of you, and I've lost a lot of it.
Oh, it's so fun.
That's pretty much been your bread and butter, mostly leadership.
Leadership is my bread and butter right now. I mean, coaching, I have a really full schedule. I have a really full schedule. So, and I really enjoy that because it's interesting when it comes to this idea, a lot of people go through life, they never even find their sense of purpose, and purpose is intimately tied to other people. And so, the ability to understand what you bring to the table that helps elevate other people is everything. And what I get to do on a daily basis is I get to be allowed into trusted spaces with people. They trust me with a lot of information about themselves, a lot of their fears or anxieties, insecurities on things, their hopes, their dreams. And I help them unpack it. It's such Johnny, it's such a cool realm to be in. Like, if anyone out there wants to be a coach, I really highly recommend go get trained. There's a lot of great people with great intentions who call themselves coaches or life coaches. But without training, you lack tools. And so it's a shallow pool that you can help somebody with. But with tools and with understanding things like the latest neuroscience, best practices, how people communicate, emotional intelligence, why we choose to do what we do, how we choose to make friends, things like that, it unpacks a whole world. And the purest form of coaching, if you want to know if you have a good coach or a bad coach, if you're engaged in a coaching relationship, coaches are simply there to help you uncover or discover things. They're not there to really tell you what to do. They're there to help you discover, right? If they tell you, now you're getting into consulting, and it blends into that, so you better know your stuff. And if you dig into your past, it's dealing with counseling. And so pure coaching will weave a little bit of consulting and counseling in that. But in the end, it's just someone helping you unpack the things that have been buried for you.
This is, and I'm listening to you. Believe me, I just pop that. This is my part. This is where before when I was recording, it was like I
Yeah.
see.
Oh, 1 second, Johnny. You're hitting that real crackle stage again, so I can't hear you, unfortunately.
I wonder if it's the cable.
I'm really sorry. I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, still crackling.
Yeah, pretty bad. Johnny is resilient. He's getting that fixed up.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, better again. It's something when you unplug it and breathe on it again, it's great, but it starts to.
I'm a professional, Adam.
You are, man. I know.
I am a professional audio. I'm just this is going to go bye-bye after today. I don't make money off this YouTube, but I'm going to spend some cash on it. The way you talk, and this is why I love what you do and stuff, because even your Instagram, you're not just a mountain bike content creator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I go through and it seems like every third post, which is kind of funny. I don't know if people pick up on that or if you do that intentionally on your Instagram, but you have the life, little things to get people through. And it's so much more than mountain biking, but we're here for mountain biking.
We are. And I appreciate you noticing that, by the way. Yes, it's intentional. To be honest with you, it helps me stay in my lane. This is just a personal thing I did for myself. I'm not one, I don't want to overshare, but the things I want to share, I want it to bring some value to people. So you'll see usually a talking head of me trying to drop some tools to help people. Yeah. It's usually then followed up by something that is at least insightful or inspirational. I don't believe that I can motivate anybody. There's kind of a fine line between this.
Somebody's got to wanna.
They have to want. It's funny, there's things called like motivational speakers, but the truth is we don't know if you're in a room full of people and you're a motivational speaker, you're saying you understand the motives of everyone there, and those are hidden. And there's some definitions about motivation that they say it's an external force trying to get you to do something. But trust me when I say you don't want to rely on something apart from you to get you through hard times or to get you to move all the time. You need to understand what that is within you. So I try and drop some knowledge on that. And then I usually share some art or a little bit more insight into my background or past or people that I'm with. And then my stories usually hype up a lot of the mountain biking because, stories are so quick to digest. And then my YouTube channel.
And then your YouTube. And let's get to that.
Let's do it.
Nice segue. When did you start riding? Just to start out,
I started probably about 4 years ago. It was definitely pre-COVID. Yeah, it's interesting, man. God, one of the things I love about mountain biking so much is like you get into it, you get your feet wet, and then you find out how deep that pool is. Like, I remember my first bike was a hardtail. It was a giant Talon hardtail. And I remember spending $500 on this thing going, that's the most I've ever spent on a bike, right? And like, I bought an expensive bike. It was my first one with real disc brakes and everything. And I was riding fire roads and like, hey, I've never explored this stuff before. And then somebody else comes by like on a full suspension and you start hearing about the other trails. And you're like, wait, there's more to this, right?
Yeah.
So bought my first full suspension, which was a giant Trance. And, fell in love with the YouTube mountain biking scene. People who are taking their time for like most of them for like little to no financial compensation or money to shout out trails, to drop knowledge on how you can be a better rider, to review equipment, all kinds of things like that. And I was like, I want to contribute to that. I want to give back to the community that I'm gaining so much from. So that I decided to start a channel.
Does that come from your coaching part? You wanted to give back. You wanted to, because your YouTube page, you're not just riding. You show, and this is what I like. You show people the time to take the time to learn.
Yeah.
You show that. You'll like go to a jump or a berm or something while
yeah.
You know what I mean? You stop and you educate yourself on it. It's almost like you're educating us.
Yeah, what I try and do is I kind of made a commitment to myself with my channel that I was going to be very real and transparent. What I wanted was if the channel got any traction, I never wanted someone to say, Adam just cuts out all the parts and only keeps in the things that makes him look really good. So I wanted to show my hesitations and my fears and be very honest. Like right now, where I am today, as of this interview, I honestly feel like I've regressed tremendously in my riding. And I think I've had a series of wipeouts. Like I would try some gnarlier stuff. I was never the fastest. I've never been the most skilled. I don't race. But I think I represent probably the majority of the average riders who want to progress. Right. Yeah. And so I wanted to show those things so that anyone checking out my channel can go, that's exactly how I feel. That's exactly the speed I ride at. Or if Adam can do that, then maybe I can do that too. So I don't shy away from just being real. And you know, the people in the chat are people who ride with me. Well, I hope they would tell you that's pretty congruent with how I am if you see me out on the trails.
I like that you leave the flubs, the part three. But that's the honest part. A lot of people probably just edit them shredding.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some YouTubers that I watch, and even the professional ones, and I'm like, they have never wiped out on their channel. And I know they're professional, so they probably didn't, but still, I like that part of you.
Thank you.
100%.
Thank you. Blair's cool. Blair's cool. You're getting that crackle again, just to let you know. It's starting to. I'm sorry, man. I'm just the news bearer. There it is. And now you're probably going to be fine after doing that.
I apologize for this. This is so unprofessional. Look at your fancy.
Fine.
What do you got going on? Am I still?
No, now you're fine. So I mean, maybe. You
know it is when you get to yapping a lot.
Uh-huh.
And then, you know, the microphone wants to hear me. Doesn't want to hear you. Nobody wants to hear me. That's why I created this, to let you people talk.
I love that.
We hit a lot of new features this Sunday at Sky Park.
Tim was great. Yeah. Saw Tim at Sky Park.
You guys at Sky Park.
Mm-hmm. So fun. Johnny, we got to get you there. With the second year at SoCal, I know a whole bunch of us really want to treat you to a day at Sky Park, because what's so cool about Sky Park is if you go there regularly, you will never go alone. You go there on a weekend, you might travel up there by yourself, but you're going to see a community that like knows you, wants to hang, and you catch some laps with friends, make new friends, and then you take a break, you get some lunch, you have a few drinks, and then you're back out on the trails. And there's like, Sky Park it's pure magic in what they do for that environment. It's great.
Yeah. Honey, do you hear that? We need to go to SoCal. Okay. Tell me, you were talking bikes. What are you riding now?
I'm riding a YT Decoy Shred. So it's an e-bike. The Shred model, when the Decoy first came out, they offered a model with a coil. That was the Shred. That's what I have. And then after that, they didn't offer it, but their newest iteration, they don't call it the Shred, but they call it the Uncaged model, and that has the coil on it. So that's what I'm riding.
I was going to ask you if your bike started with a Y and ended with a T.
So I will tell you, Johnny. Okay, before I had that bike, I had the Ibis Ritmo, which I adored.
Fantastic bike.
And Ibis just this week, yesterday, the day before, announced their new e-bike, their first e-bike called the Oso, means bear. Yeah. And it's very intriguing to me. I don't like the cockpit design. The cockpit design looks antiquated and clunky with the Bosch motor layout. However, Ibis really knows how to dial in that engineering and the feel of that bike. I don't hit things as much as other people, like some real shreddy stuff.
I am so unprofessional. Can we just check this off and start over again?
Whenever you want. But I'm intrigued by the Ibis Oso right now.
Yeah, I saw BKXC just showcased one on his channel the other day, and I'm like, wow, everyone is going E. And I don't even know if you're allowed to ride an e-bike on some of the trails here. But I know you guys do a lot of climbing.
We have a lot of climbing, and I will tell you, you have to check your local laws and ordinances. But I will say, educate yourself on this. E-bikes aren't allowed on a lot of trails out here, but what they're trying to move towards, San Clemente out here, which is where the YT mill is, they allow class 1 e-bikes, which is a pedal assisted e-bike, non-throttle. And I think that's where everybody wants to go, but it's a long road because some of the trails are managed, like OC Parks Aliso is managed by OC Parks, but someone else owns the land, and those old land charters never imagined e-bikes. So to change some of these laws to allow e-bikes takes a while.
Yeah.
But you are allowed an assisted mobility device if you have physical limitations, injuries. If it's something that is within reason, you're allowed to have an assisted mobility device. Rangers and such cannot ask you specifics. You don't have to prove it. But here in California, there has to be a reasonable evidence that you might need that.
So now you say you're right behind some trails.
Yeah.
Like your backyard. I mean, how far are you from being
I
able
could
to
drop in. So Aliso and Wood Canyons is it's like a destination one. It's tied to, it's very closely tied to Laguna and Crystal Cove trails, which opens it up bigger. But if I leave my house on my bike, I can drop into Aliso in 5 minutes and be there, not even have to shuttle or ride.
and you don't have to pay to get in? These aren't
No, Aliso is not. No, on the Laguna side, if you park in the lot, you have to pay for parking $3. It's totally worth it. $3 to go enjoy the trails.
Yeah.
But Aliso, there's no paid parking for it, and you can. Aliso is really cool. Aliso's has a top horizontal line called West Ridge and a bottom line that runs parallel to it called Wood Canyon. And so you essentially are going from Wood Canyon and climbing up a trail to West Ridge just to drop down trails back to Wood Canyon. So it looks like a ladder on its side. And then if you cross over the other side of Aliso, you end up in Laguna, which is, I don't know, it's huge. It's massive. And Blair, who's on rides there all the time. Craig rides there all the time. MTB Raging. It just opens up all kinds of new stuff for you, and wonderful place just to learn and to grow and to be out on trails.
It sounds like so much fun. Yeah. Like here we have, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 now, and I only go to 2. 2 are a little bit distance. You want to get back to your life. But yeah, it's pay and it's pedal. It's nonstop.
How much do you pay to ride those trails?
It's like $8. It's no big deal. It's just pay to park pretty much. It's pretty much just pay to get in and park your car. But just to be able to ride to, and they're just, it's open there, right? It's just, what I'm trying to get at is where you're riding is just kind of like in your backyard. You ride 5 minutes and there's a trailhead off to the side of the road.
It's more like if I leave from my house, the entrances to the trails are like you go into like for Aliso, there's a very big sweeping park called Canyon Vistas. People are out there hanging out in the grass, jungle gyms and things like that.
Oh, okay.
But there's some secret ways to the neighborhoods you can just drop right into Aliso, and it's wonderful. Like if I were to ride there, let's say tomorrow morning, right when it opens, which is 7:00, and there's no gates or anything, it's just kind of know when it opens, you will still have dew on the ground, maybe fog rolling in. You're riding and you'll hear rustling in the woods, and like a family of deer will come out, or you might see coyotes or bobcats. It's pretty awesome.
That's amazing. You guys,
yeah.
My wife already said that she's in because she, and we'll get to this. My wife, this is a great little segue.
Okay, before you segue, unplug your mic one more time because you're going back at it. You might just have to unplug it regularly when I'm on a diatribe or something and plug it in.
Yeah, when you get going.
There you go.
When you get going, I'm just gonna unplug.
Secretly unplug it. Yeah.
But this girl, Lauren Konuzarek, who is, she's on here because not just because her husband is here, she loves you guys.
Oh, that's so sweet.
She loves this community. She loves watching Mark's podcast. She loves the way the community gets along, and that's why she was all game for getting in. Talk to me about your community out there. I mean, you guys, I guess, if a woman gets pregnant, the kid pops out with a GoPro.
This community, it's big, but it's a close-knit one. So I have to tell you, Mark being on here, Blair being on here, Raging, like all the people that you're seeing like pop up here, Nick, Tim Haley and such, whether they're content creators or not, if they're not creating content, they're contributing to the conversation as part of that content. And it makes you get to know people, even if you hadn't met them yet on the trails. But this community is so tightly knit. Like the other day, like we have a group chat, and we found out that like a local trail builder at one of our parks got in an accident, but it wasn't drama. It wasn't like, oh no, they got in an accident. What I loved about it was they got in an accident and we're starting a meal train. So here's a place where you can donate or get Grubhub or like, Uber Eats, DoorDash for them to help them out. I've seen this happen when people get bikes stolen, when people need parts, when people get hurt and need help covering medical bills. The community isn't just down to ride. They're kind of ride and die for the spirit of the community. It's just wonderful.
And how did you get to know, you said you started 4 years ago.
Yeah.
How did you get to meet Mark and Tim Haley and Air Blair and Joey Yates? And was this, you were going out on your own and then you bump into these people and you're like, hey, I've
actually, so it's interesting. Mark started his podcast, and he had done a video on a trail near his house called Slaughterhouse. Yeah. And it's interesting. Slaughterhouse, I consider I call it a liminal trail or an unsanctioned one. Not every trail is legal or illegal. Some just, no one has said you can't ride it, but it's not an official trail. So it hits that liminal space, right?
Yeah.
So Mark hit this one, Slaughterhouse, and I was like, where is this place? This looks awesome. And if I'm right, it was the first time Mark and Joey Yates, Uncaged MTB, got to hook up for a ride. So I hit Mark up, and he gave me the details on how to get to the trail. So I put out a video on Slaughterhouse Trail, which was a comedy of errors. We literally had like poop falling up on our tires and such. And, but we're having like a great time. And I remember when I made the video, I was still nursing an injury where I had a torn MCL and LCL on my left leg, but I really wanted to ride this trail.
Uh-huh.
So after I wrote it and put the video together, I sent a link to Mark, and we really hadn't connected like more than, hey brother, here's the details on the trail. And some time went by, but Mark remembered it, went back to watch it, and then hit me up and was laughing about the video, and then said, hey, get on my podcast. Through that, met the Trail Dogs, met Joey Yates. I forgot how I met Blair, like unofficially, but officially I ran into him one day. I was riding Aliso. I literally just came in Aliso, and Blair, when you know Blair, he's awesome because Blair just has a lot of confidence and a really charming personality. And he just comes riding up. He goes, hey, Adam, Blair Liggett, nice to meet you. And I didn't understand the last name at first. And then I think he knew that. And he just goes, Air Blair. And I knew the handle. And I was like, that's so dope. Like I get to meet Air Blair. And literally like the next day I ran into him again on the trails on the other side. And then it goes from there. MTB Raging. We had a mutual friend at one point, and we were in the same circles. And from there, it just grows and grows. Everybody knows the person. Everyone knows somebody in the community. So it's easy to get a hold of someone or get connected with them.
And did YouTube help that out a little bit by like people knowing it's not your hand. You're Adam Mock.
YouTube helps as, I would call it like a landing pad for people, so like if they weren't connecting with me necessarily on anything I was posting on Instagram, they might have seen one of my videos because YouTube's pretty good with the algorithms. It's almost godlike. Those algorithms really dial into what you're into. So if you're hyper local, SoCal scene, you're exploring trails, absolutely you're going to hit some things that are absolutely going to pop up. MTB Allen, The Outsider, Tony DeSilva, Mo and Hannah, awesome MTB at the time. Heather Nuve, Tommy, the Reckless Riders. You'll start to see all these people pop up. So I think my YouTube channel, after a while, when it was getting some more notice, would probably pop up a recommendation here and there. And I was very intentional about putting my icon on the beginning of like all the videos and such. So I think then if I'm out on the trails, I represent myself because I can represent anybody else or me. So I'd rather represent me and my mission, right? So then I think, people put two and two together and it's like, that's Adam Mock. I got it.
I love, and I'm love, throw that up again for those who watch this tomorrow or the next day or the next day.
Unplug your mic one more time, by the way.
Mother Mary.
Yeah, this is my hot pink
At
Yeti.
some point during this interview, I will cry.
Oh, will you? I'll be there for you, John.
Yeah, be there to get me on the Adam Mock. Now, that's you? You created that? Very cool.
I created that logo. Yeah. So what I call it is, you pay pretty good attention to my Instagram channel. I'll tell you something that I purposely do. I don't say that logo represents Adam Mock. I actually call it the icon or the crowning achievement. So it looks like a crown. Now it is an A and an M, but what I want people to do is to be able to adopt it for themselves and say, this is a crowning achievement of me living the life that I want to live and being the person that I want to be. So that anybody that has that on them, whether it's on a shirt or a jersey or a sticker, isn't just going, that's Adam Mock. I want them to be able to say, that represents something to me, which is why I don't call my jerseys an Adam Mock jersey. It's a flock jersey, represents all of us. So it's just that ability to say, it's not just for me. I'm really trying to say, like, what can I give back to the community that they can adopt and feel empowered by?
The Adam Mock flock.
The flock. I just call it the flock. Other people call it the mock flock sometimes. I just call it the flock.
Now, because I've watched many, if not all, of your videos. What is that like when you see somebody wearing your jersey?
Oh, it's gratitude.
How does that feel to you? Because you again represent more than just mountain biking. It's an inspirational thing. It's something that, and you see that. Have you seen anyone other than your friends?
Yeah, I have, and I've met people like up at Sky Park where I'll turn around and they're wearing the jersey, and I'm just grateful. The back of my jersey says "Don't delay living." And I really just I want people riding up a trail and have someone behind them who just needs a message in that moment or that day of, like, don't give up on this. Like, keep moving forward. Don't delay living. Don't put it off.
Yeah.
So when I see people wearing the jersey, I'm grateful. I'm humbled. I'm glad it resonates with them. It's all those things that you could hope for, is that, it's what you're putting out there means something to other people.
I was going to say that's got to be very humbling to be riding, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, he's wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I love it. And I got to tell you, I equally get stoked when I see people wearing my friend's stuff. Like, genuinely, like, if I see someone wearing a Segment shirt, an Outsider shirt, MTB Raging, Unspoken, Rad Dad, like any number of these people, who are out here, I get geeked for them because, when you know those people, it's just fun to see your friends getting represented out there. Yeah. And even if I don't know them, if I'm a fan of them, I'm like, good on you, man. Like, they deserve that. They deserve that shine.
And it's also for like you guys that do the riding YouTubes and stuff and that have product, that somebody's actually into your product that much.
Yeah.
It's kind of a pat you on the back going, I think I'm doing something.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. And the thing is, it's also a reminder that eyes are on you. Listen, any YouTuber that's out there, even if you don't YouTube, you're just putting content on Instagram. I don't care what your numbers are. I've really learned numbers do not equate to impact. They don't. So if you have low numbers, you're like, oh, I wish I had higher numbers. Don't assume you have no impact. Johnny, all of us in SoCal know exactly who you are, Johnny.
I was beginning to think that this was like a SoCal connection here. You have to spread the love sometime.
No, I think this is what's cool about it, because there's people who can have a lot of numbers, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're connecting with a community. And I'm not throwing shade towards anybody. I'm really not. Yeah. What I'm trying to do is encourage those of you who might feel like, oh, I wish I were higher, further along, had better numbers. Those metrics are not a metric of impact by any stretch necessarily. So you could have really high impact with people and just keep plugging away at it. You know, it's we're all kind of different, but all the voices are needed and welcomed at the table.
It's great that you say that, because I always joke about my numbers. I wish everyone on my Instagram would subscribe to my YouTube.
Yeah.
I'd be a little bit further along. But I heard a quote once. I was on a cruise not too long ago, and I was telling a guy, and I had like 100 and some subscribers. I still only have 100 and some. And he goes, that's more than zero.
Yeah,
You
100%.
actually have 100 and some people that are actually willing to want
Right.
to see what you're doing. And then my first live thing with Mr. Joshua Welling from Chicken Sendies, he like thanked me for this. And that was almost everything I needed.
Yeah.
Like to
Oh,
get
I love
thank
that.
you for he was like, because of you, I'm now a subscriber and viewer of these people I didn't know.
Yeah. You
before.
offer a great man. You offer something so valuable, Johnny. You really do. One, I love your personality and I love your hype for all of us. Right? Every single person that you've shouted out, I just love how stoked you are to connect with those people. But two, exactly what you were thanked for. People are finding others because of you. You become like a curation process. It reminds me a lot of Mark. Like Mark never once is like, oh, I'll have them on my show because they're really important, or they have all these. Mark will have anybody on his show because he looks at quality of character. And I think that's so cool. And what you do on this is you're inviting people to a table, and trust me, you don't live in SoCal. You're part of the scene already, Johnny. Everyone knows you. It's absolutely going to grow for you. I'd say, dude, just keep plugging away at it, because the truth is we're all going to be talking about it. We're all going to keep talking about you.
You're right. You know what's funny is and I don't need the numbers. I don't need the thousands. I only say I'd like the numbers because I'd like to not be wasting your time and having more people watch it.
Uh-huh.
But this is a hobby. This is something I enjoy doing.
That's why you do it.
And this is why I do it. And hold on, this girl won't stop. Who is this Lauren? Johnny, can we keep him?
Shucks. That's so nice.
These two,
we do love Lauren too.
These two are just driving me nuts.
Johnny, I'm glad to hear like you do it because you love it and it's a hobby. Here's the truth.
Yeah,
very few of us, not to say it's impossible, very few of us are going to make a full living at it. We do it as a passion project to give back to the community, to be more connected to it. I think it's wonderful. Every single one. Listen, you never have to sit there and like apologize or think you're wasting any guest time. What an honor it is to ever be asked by somebody else, will you just come and sit and have a conversation with me? I'd like to know more about you. What better way to live? Like, what more could you ask for than to have somebody who wants to be attentive and learn more about you? I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm with Adam Mock right now. before the segment thing that we did, and I thought I was a fan of yours, and I don't know how I found you. I found you in 2020.
Okay.
I found a lot of people because, like I said, I started this by watching a lot of mountain bike YouTubers during the pandemic. But what I thought was so amazing about you is afterward, you do the little chat afterward. We were all, when it's all said and done and you end the broadcast, you stayed on.
Yeah.
And you said, hey, what can we do? What can we do to help you? And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, he doesn't know me. I know him through his videos, but he doesn't know me from that. He's never. And I just thought that just showed me you were genuine.
Oh, that means a lot to hear that.
If you watch an Adam Mock video on his Instagram or his YouTube, it's who he is, folks. And I'm still so. I'm just.
Thanks. Listen, that was fun. You know, honestly, when Mark said you were going to be on, I got excited because it gave us an opportunity to get to know you more. And I love that. Why wouldn't you want to know somebody who's supporting the endeavors of everyone in your community? Like, that was really, really exciting to me. And I was just so happy about that. You know,
I thought it was so funny. I was like, nobody wants to hear about a 50-year-old guy that rides down in South Florida.
Everybody does.
But I thought, even AHA 34. That was the best.
That sounds like the beginning of like an epic novel. It's just it's like right there. It's the beginning of every great adventure. A 50-year-old in South Florida, right? He starts a
Like Dana
podcast
Pop,
and
34.
but look, Johnny, here's the thing that I know about you. It's not like you don't have the pedigree to interview people. Obviously, like that's your whole background.
Yeah.
And the fact that you choose to treat all of your guests like with so much worth and value says a tremendous amount about your character. I really admire that about you. I love it. I love everybody that you've had on and how you treat them.
Enough about me. Let's talk about me. Let's get back to riding, sir, and especially you too, as a graphic artist, as an artist,
Mhm.
in a graphic. I just heard my wife laugh. That's
That's a good sign. Good for you.
Do you enjoy the creative aspect of editing and creating all that stuff?
I do. Yeah, I gotta tell you, the
What are you
learning curve.
editing?
What's that? What am I editing on?
Yeah.
Adobe Premiere.
Okay, you're better than me.
Yeah, and it's because it's the thing, like, as an artist, I'm just used to the Adobe suite.
Yeah.
It was natural for me to do that. If you've never done any editing, use what you have. Like you have to start somewhere. Don't wait to have the best of everything or till you've learned it. What's great about the creative process, no matter what you're doing, let's talk about editing mountain biking videos. The beautiful thing about it is you have to find your voice. There's a lot of people out there starting channels that are just trying to mimic other channels. I would say take your inspirations from other people. You can admire them, but the whole point of that learning curve is to find your voice. And someone really does need to hear your voice. Now, I like the editing process because it allows me to creatively share my voice with people.
Yeah.
If I like static out to like a little B-roll or flub or something that makes me laugh, people who know me know that's me. Like right now, I'm pretty focused because we're here on the podcast, but I know the chat gallery and Sky Park, like we have jokes, like, we take a group picture, I'm yelling sausage and things like that. Like things get really, goofy. So.
Oh, is that what this is from? Hold on, I'm going
Yeah,
back.
somebody at the beginning, I think it was Craig shouted out the sausage thing.
Something about sausage or brats.
Yes. So answer this is just becoming a thing, and it's great. At Sky Park, there's a wall on Neverland Jump Line, the Trail Neverland Jump Line. And we were out there celebrating Kelly O'Bike's birthday on this day. And it was like me and Mark and Uncaged MTV and everyone was out there. And there was a photographer, Dave Contreras, goes by Budo Dave, professional photographer, who I'm about to expand on that, Lauren, who was going to take pictures for Kelly's birthday as we were going down the trail. So right before we drop in, the discussion was like, well, how's he going to know when we're coming? So I said, let's yell sausage. Right? Like, because everyone else can jump way better than me. And I was like, that would be just so epic. Just like being in the air, like sausage. But what I found out when I watched the footage back is I was the only one on the actual jump line part who yells sausage before Dave takes the picture. I'm cracking myself up over this. Like, but then later down the trail, there's this wooden wall, and Joey Yates on Cage MTB sat at like the jump drop off of this wall, filming footage. And so sure enough, we all go whizzing by, and I'm on the wall and I see Joey. So I go, sausage. And Joey doesn't miss a beat. He just goes, party. And that ends up making the video. And then recently, like and then on my first group ride, we took a group picture, and I said, everyone's just say sausage. So we did. And then on my 50th birthday, at the Laguna Beach Beer Company, Air Blair, set up. They had a beer brat, and I wanted it with nacho cheese and bacon, and they made it like that. And it became the Adam Mockwurst, so it's a sausage.
Nice. Oh, that's right. You had the Mockwurst.
Adam Mockwurst. Yeah. Yeah.
My wife is just handing me a drink because I hate cotton mouth.
You have a drink? I actually have a shot here in case we were gonna do something.
I'll just do this with you.
Cheers. Here, actually, you know what? I'll have some water right now. I'll have some water. I'm not ready for a shot. So, hey, cheers.
Well, this isn't just an orange drink.
Mark is talking about the mock shot. I
What's
don't.
the
I
mock
don't drink.
shot?
Yeah, I don't drink beer. Well, I do, but it's not a go-to. If
I
it's the
don't
only
either.
thing available, are you a beer drinker?
No, it's so filling and it makes me so tired.
Yeah, and so it's not my but I do I like whiskey and
Ooh.
like bourbon and such. I like having shots, but in kind of like our our little circle of people, I guess there's this thing now known as a mock shot because a normal shot's about an ounce and a half, but it just feels small to me. I'll just say that. So I pour myself a generous shot and enjoy myself and the company of good friends with some good food.
Wait, now, how often, not how often do you get out, but because it's probably a lot. How often do you ride where you don't bring a GoPro? Like,
Lately, a
come on in,
lot. What a great question, Johnny. Honestly, lately a lot. This season I'm in, where I say I feel like I've regressed. Like I'm a first time rider again. I'm not hitting like gnarly stuff. I'm not nearly as quick as even I was becoming or as daring.
Mhm.
Um, I realized an interesting thing happened. It went from loving mountain biking to my hobby started feeling a bit like work. And then as other things popped up, I'm pretty busy. Like my day has been one thing after the next today. Um, Something has to take a back seat, and that will be the channel. It just will. As much as I love it, if you see me not post a video, it's not that I don't care. I don't have time. And writing started becoming, I realized writing, I'm curious how many people experience this. I got into writing for fun.
Mhm.
And then part of that fun becomes progression, right? Like, wow, I conquered something new. I learned something new. I'm getting better. But I realized progression started taking over fun. Everything became about get a gnarlier trail, a gnarlier feature. And even my language around stuff was like, what am I working on today? What am I practicing? Meaning, I literally was like out riding my bike, but my language was saying I hadn't even arrived. What am I working on? What am I
Yeah.
practicing for? What? I'm not a professional rider. I'm not racing. Like for me, progression took over and I started enjoying it less and less. And then I was filming a lot. And so it became, let me go out and do some work. Let me see what I can hit and progress on, make a video out of it, put that out there. So lately I've been leaving the camera at home and
Yeah,
enjoying the company of my friends or a solo ride and just being on the trails.
anyone I've ever talked to and me, riding is a cleansing.
Yeah.
It's focus in front of you. The whole world around you is going, your job, your relationships, it's just a form of escape.
Yeah.
And then
Totally.
talking and some of your things you need to, what is it? Uh, you talked about the 8 things in life.
Oh, life balance.
But there's recreation or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's right. Recreation, your hobbies.
It's full. It's full.
Okay, and you need that. Thank
Yeah.
you, honey. Um, and when you, like you said, it started becoming a job for you.
Yeah, it did. And it started changing how I felt about the ride I was on. Even, like, and it just became tough where it was like, man, I forgot what it felt like just to get on my bike and just dick around, like without care or worry if I'm getting better, faster,
Yeah.
hitting the gnarliest thing. Like, I just want to be on my bike. That's all I really want right
This is
now.
why you'll never see me riding. Every now and then I'll strap and I have to be honest with everyone. I haven't been on a trail in like 2 months.
Wow.
And I know it's just bad. Life gets in the way. I haven't even been on my bike. Last Monday was the first day I got back on my bike.
Wow. How'd that feel?
I've ridden 30 miles in the last 2 days.
Nice.
And it's hot here, man.
It's hot here. You
Yeah,
have more humidity than we do, I think, though.
yeah, and it's one of those things, it's stifling. And I know people put their bikes away during the winter sometimes. It's snowing where they are, blah, blah, blah. Here for me, it's too damn hot. And I am not what do you call that? A morning person.
Okay.
And that's usually the time. I'm planning on getting out this weekend. But I know what you're saying about feeling like you're going backwards, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I feel like if I get back on that trail, I know I can do it. I'm capable. I've been riding for 25 years of my life.
Mhm.
I know I can do it, but there's still that little,
Yeah. And I have to tell you,
oh, that.
I'm really comfortable right now letting everybody know I'm just in this season. I'm sure it's going to come back, but like I've done my time of hitting features that are gnarly for me, conquering things off my to-do list or my bucket list of riding on things. But just because I've done a feature does not mean I always want to do that feature on every ride. Just because I'll go down a gnarlier trail does not mean I love it or I want to do that on every single ride. It just means I have the ability to do it. And sometimes I will want to, but sometimes I just don't, and it's just nice.
Yes, I agree with that so much, and I love that you said that, and I think other people should know that I can do everything in every trail here. But
Nice.
there are days where I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do it today.
Yeah.
It's okay. You got to know that it's okay
Yeah.
to not do that.
Yes, totally.
You don't always have to prove I especially don't have to prove anything to anybody. I
Yeah.
ride for me. I have a buddy that he'll text me like, how long did it take you to do the trail today? I'm like, I'm not in a race.
This is why I'm not on Strava, Johnny. Like, I don't care.
I'm not in a race.
Yeah.
It's just I'm out there to cleanse. I'm out there to have a fun time. These
Yeah.
are Roman's downtime.
Mm-hmm.
You know Roman?
I don't know Roman. Hi,
Hi,
Roman.
Roman. Thank you. Been digging your segment. MTV is such a great hobby because you're forced to focus on the ride and leave your stressor behind.
100%.
Amen, brother.
100%.
Just had a-
People use it as therapy, right? As like their de-stressor. I think that's great.
Do you have stressors?
Oh yeah, we got plenty of stressors. We got tons of stressors. Thankfully, I have tools to deal with them, but I don't always use them. Like that's the confounding thing about knowledge. Sometimes is like even coaches need coaches, right? Therapists need therapists. So thankfully, I have good people around me that I can go to help me unpack and sort through stuff.
We're getting. I know. I don't want to take up 5 hours of your time, and there's so much I could talk about.
Take up whatever you want.
I could talk to you all friggin' night because I'm a big fan of Adam Mock. Who's your main crew? You want to give a shout out to these kids?
I don't, and I'm going to tell you why. There's so many people in the SoCal crew, and I know they all know this. I will end up forgetting someone, unintentionally hurting, right? I'd say the SoCal scene is my crew. I'll say if you've never met me and you see me on the trails and you're wondering, can I ride with you? The answer is always yes. Feel free to join me on a ride. I love the people who are in the chat, today. There's just so many people that I can genuinely name. To give you an idea, my first official group ride, I was hoping 12 people would show up. It would have been great. It would have been great if 20 people would have showed up.
It's overflowed.
We closed down the parking lot in 5 minutes. I didn't realize how many people there were until later. People were telling me the count and how they were estimating, and it was closer to about 100 people showed up.
I remember the video.
And that's a guy who doesn't have the numbers of some other people, but the SoCal scene is so connected. Like I'm not patting myself on the back for that. I think it resonated that we all just wanted to get out and ride. You know what I mean? And I create a ride, it creates a hub for that, and it spread. And I loved all the support on it. But I mean, if I were to shout out anyone, it would be that whole SoCal scene. It's just like there, exactly. Mark knows what I'm talking about. SoCal crew is like the Bones Brigade squad. He's talked about this. In some ways, it feels like there's this second coming. And ironically, Steve Caballero, part of the Bones Brigade, is part of the SoCal scene, right? So yeah, it feels like that. So I would say there's too many people. There's too many people to shout out. But as much as I can, I try and let them know how much I appreciate them.
And more than anything about seeing somebody with your shirt and whatnot, but your first group ride, I remember seeing that video, and you could even hear your excitement in your voice.
Yeah.
I mean, you're GoProing it, and you're showing all the people, and you were excited that they closed the parking lot down, I think. And
yeah, how
did that that day? Were you not just riding on your bike, but riding on a cloud? Or
it was a blur. My heart was full, man. Like the parking lot doesn't open till 8, and there was a line of cars around 7:30 to get into the lot. So someone I think called OC Parks because they had to come early to open the lot. And somebody asked me, "Is this like an official ride? Are you all part of an organization?" And I just laughed and said, "I just invited some friends out." And 5 minutes later, they closed it. Street parking got full, and there's another lot down the way that I heard got filled up as well. So it was incredible. My heart was full. I just wanted everyone to have a great time, and I wanted to let them know how much I appreciated them. So that's why at the beginning of the ride, I start the climb and I stop and turn around just so I can film and say hello to everybody who made the time, traveling, the effort to be a part of that. It meant so much to me.
That had to have gotten you, right?
Oh, it did big time. Blair, Air Blair caught a great. The thumbnail is a picture that Air Blair caught of me, like looking around at the parking lot, being like, "What? What is this? Am I in the right place right now?" You know,
It's like you arrived. Or
it was awesome.
Because Adam Mock is about inspiring others, and the fact that you've touched that many people through your channel and through your rides.
Yeah, it was a beautiful moment. That's right. I'm forever grateful for it. And I have to tell you, the quality of some of the people in the SoCal scene, some of my friends who couldn't even make it were so thoughtful that they were like shooting me videos. Like Mark shot me a video wearing my jersey saying like, "Hey brother, have a good time. I can't make it." I was getting texts from the squad, you know, people who wanted to be there and such. And it was like, they weren't there, but they were there. And that's what the whole, it's not even just me. That's what we're like for each other. We genuinely like, you got something going on. What can I do? Right. Like I'll support that in some way.
Yeah. You guys are obnoxious over there. Well, I'll get a good way, but
you got to come and be part of the Love Fest, Johnny. You got to get over here, man.
I mean,
you and Lauren.
With you, I know Lauren's now through this because I don't know if she knew you, but she knew Mark, and Mark, you know, has texted me a lot. So he's like a mentor of mine since I started, or since I've been.
Great choice of mentor. He's a quality human being. Just
like Brett,
and
Eric.
Yeah,
Dirty. You know,
yeah.
They still on the side. It's amazing how you like keep up. You guys are incredible. But it's great that we talk about your first group ride because it brings me to where I want to take you.
Okay.
It's Ride and Shine.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That what was Ride and Shine?
Ride and Shine was so Lee McCormack, Lee Likes Bikes, over a year ago put out a very vulnerable Instagram story about being on a trail. Mike Savicki is there. Mike's a great dude. Lee was very vulnerable and was out on a trail in Utah. I think it was the Portal Trail, if I'm remembering right. And he says, "Guys, I'm on this trail," and he wanted to share something, and his voice starts to tremble. And he talks about being out on that trail during the day and like how there was a season of his life where he was out there and he was riding with all these people and sharing stoke and teaching them things. And then his plan when everyone else went to bed was to go back to that trail at night and launch himself off a cliff and end it. And it just shook me to hear his vulnerability on that. And it resonated with me because I've openly shared the fact that I know what it's like to be suicidal. I wanted to end my life. I'm grateful for every day I have, but I'm not immune from anxieties and depression and stress. And even the idea of like just because you're suicidal once and you're like, "Hey, I was," it doesn't mean like these thoughts aren't lingering sometimes.
Still hanging out. Like,
correct.
If you thought about it once, it's still, unless you've sought help.
Even if you seek help, I think everyone would tell you it's something that you can recognize that it's over there, but it needs to stay over there. It can't start to encroach, right? So I watched this video with Lee McCormack, and I was sitting in my bed, and I remember just being shook from it.
Yeah.
And I just said, I want to create an event that raises awareness for mental health and levels that playing field. People need to talk openly. And I just thought Ride and Shine. That was the thought that came out. I'm going to call it Ride and Shine. But I knew I could not do this alone, that it would take a community and it
Yeah.
would take someone who's kind of a hub or a focal point in that community. And that's definitely Mark as the segment. Mark knows so many people. He's got a heart of gold. And so the next day I called them and I just said, hey, man, I want to do an event. I want it at Sky Park and I want to call it Ride and Shine. I need help.
Wow.
And Mark is so great. Mark goes, let's do it, brother. Literally, let's do it, brother. You know? And both of us weren't really sure how this would form, right? And then we worked with Sky Park, and Sky Park was great. And you know, a lot of people don't know what goes on behind the scenes to put an event on like this. But Sky Park, yeah, Sky Park donated the time, the space, all of that to us without cost because they believed in the cause. And this, listen, for us, it's a weird thing to ask. Come together and ride with your favorite content creators was the attraction. And we got a lot. Nobody said no to me. Nobody said no to me unless they couldn't make it. No one said no to Mark when he invited them unless they couldn't make it. And I'm forever grateful to everyone for that because some of these people who said I'll come are popular and they have followings and people want to connect with them. Right?
You had like the A-listers of mountain biking there.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely like in SoCal and just quality people. But, you know, the unknown was like, they want to stick around and listen to people openly talk about how hard it can be mentally, but see that they're having victory over these things. We didn't know. So to have the support of not just individuals and content creators, but great groups like the Bomber Crew, the Trail Dogs, Expeditionary Veterans Association, it was really important for us to have a diversity of voices, to have women represented, to have multicultural community represented in that, different backgrounds, different people. And I said, I'll talk first. I will go out and I will jump in the deep end. And you know, the fears creep up for everyone who's going to share. It's very vulnerable, and I knew that. And I told everyone, I said, if at any point, even right before you're going to go on stage, you don't want to do this, you don't have to. You can only share what you want to share. And man, the courage from everybody. I got choked up talking. And one of the things that got me through was looking out at the audience and seeing people. It's not even just people I care about, because I do, but the other part of that, people who cared about me. I'm standing up there grateful for my life with eyes that looking at me, who care for me. And having that kind of support. I cried. Exactly. Like, you know, Mark saying I cried. I did. I got so choked up. At one point during that, I actually heard Craig, MTB Raging, is just hush in the audience. And, you know, cameras are up and people are filming. And I needed a minute because I was getting choked up with gratitude and reflecting on things. And I hear Craig just go, "You got this, brother." And I was like, this is the community. Like it was very quiet, but it was sincere. And I was grateful for that. And so, and then everybody else shared. Mark got up there and shared. Mark shared things that people didn't know about unless they tune into his podcast.
Yeah.
Other people shared for the first time publicly. I mean, really, really hard stories. We had mental health professionals on hand. We had vendors on hand for it. And afterwards, people were able to leave and get help if they needed it. I had multiple people hit me up and said, "I'm finally getting the help that I've been putting off."
Really?
Yeah. And the goal for all of us with this was, I don't care if 300 people show up to ride with content creators and 5 people show up to listen to people talk about mental health. If one of those people are still here. It was my greatest fear that we have a community that one day you could wake up and find out that someone in the community is no longer here simply because they didn't talk about it. And they thought someone didn't care about them. And Johnny, I have to tell you, a lot of people don't know this unless you talk to me regularly. I get hit up regularly in DMs, or people get my number and hit me up just to say, "Are you available? I really need some help right now." And I'm not a clinician, but I've been there, and they just need someone to talk to. And I don't say no to that kind of thing. So I knew this was a need in our community, and to do it afterwards, like it was just, it was better than I could have imagined. I knew it was difficult for people who contributed, and I'm grateful for their courage. I'm incredibly and forever grateful to the mountain biking community for supporting it, and to Sky Park for believing in it. We did something really special that day. So it was really, really awesome.
And I shared it because I watched the video, and it moved me so much. It wasn't just about mountain biking.
Mhm.
I know this podcast is supposed to be about mountain biking, but this is Adam Mock. There's more to Adam than mountain biking. This is what I love about you so much, is that you are more than just, your page is more than just about riding.
Mhm.
And I found it interesting that, yeah, oh my God, I get to go riding with, X, Y, and Z, whoever YouTuber, and it's
Yeah.
cool. There's going to be, I can see a picture, whatever. But to see the crowd that stayed,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like, you had a full house.
We did. And Sky Park, it would look like a concert when they set up.
Yeah.
My friend Ben Thomas, the music, a lot of music in my channel is from Ben. My outro, I Missed the Right, is Ben Thomas. Ben lives in Washington, and he's a dear friend. And I just said, I'm putting on this event. And he goes, I'll be there. And I go, I don't know. Like, I'm not making any money from this. Nobody made money on that, right? Like, people showed up to Sky Park. They weren't charging us anything, right? Yeah, it was from the heart. Ben was like, I'll come down. He just flew down from Washington with his wife, Joy, and hung out for a weekend just to give his talents to that, and make it more than just listen to us talk. We were trying to create an experience for people.
Okay, a huge takeaway from this, and I'm going to open up.
Okay.
I saw a lot of guys on stage.
Yep.
And that's, I can tell you this, and I'm going to open up, and I don't care.
Go for it.
I'm seeing a therapist right now.
Good for you.
I suffer from anxiety
Okay.
and whatnot. There, it's out there, folks.
Good
Love
for
it.
you. Good for you.
But she asked me one day, what makes you happy
Okay.
inside? And to see those guys on that stage open up like that, and I told her, I said, and I'm all over the place. I said, I don't know. Guys aren't usually open about what's inside.
Yeah.
We're not used to being asked what our emotions are, how we feel right now.
Yeah.
And you have that many men.
Yep.
And I'm not leaving the women out. I know it's very difficult for you as well.
Yeah.
But to be open, it's a difficult thing.
It's very difficult. And you're right. It depends on the individual. There is a stereotype around men. Even today, when I coach people, I coached someone last week where they say something like, I was taught vulnerability is weakness. It's the opposite. Vulnerability is some of the greatest strength you can have to fully be you. We call it, in the coaching field, we call it standing in the arena. Mm-hmm. What people see about you, you see about you. All eyes are on you. It's congruent. That's who you get to be. There's no facade. You're not hiding. It takes a tremendous amount of courage to be vulnerable. I applaud you for letting people know that you see a therapist. I think that should be able to be regularly said without any stigma, without any shame. No different than someone going, I've decided to lose weight. Hey, I've decided to learn a new language. I've changed my job, right?
I was ashamed to say it for a while. And I've only, a few months,
mm-hmm.
But if you have problems with your heart,
yeah,
you go to a cardiologist.
Exactly.
You go to an oncologist.
Yeah.
That stuff going on in your head. Why should you be ashamed of seeing another doctor that can take care of that?
Totally. Look at the biggest secret to life. I wish we were taught this in schools, but what you think affects how you feel, and that affects your behavior. And if you have a lot of head trash and you don't have tools to sort it, then you will feel like trash, and you're going to behave in a way that will either make you ashamed, make you regretful, make you depressed, all kinds of stuff like that. Yeah. There is no shame in going, I'm scared right now. I worry. I'm concerned. I don't like who I am, and I need help uncovering who I really am or becoming who I really want to be. I think that should be applauded and celebrated. And still to this day, the reason I can be employed for myself as a leadership coaching specialist is because we have a world that tells you buck up, soldier on, don't cry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many people you couldn't ride that day?
I couldn't ride. You're right. I could not. I
Son
didn't
of
get to
a-
ride
There was
that
all
day.
kinds of YouTubers there.
I got to tell you, and you know why? Is because Mark was so helpful. I mean, Mark was helping me get set up. We were trying to go through run of show. I wanted to make sure everybody who spoke felt comfortable.
Yeah.
And that meant putting myself last in order to make sure that they were set up for success for that day. And so by the time we had a little break where I could have ridden, I still didn't even know what I was going to fully say yet. And so I wanted it to be a good event for everybody, which is why I didn't ride that day.
But you got good video. Someone took video for you.
Master Joseph was on the scene with the Joseph cam, got some dope footage of everyone. I love it. Joseph is a great guy. And what a wonderful friend. And he knew, and his posture that day, he goes, "What do you need me to do?"
He's good.
And yeah, he rode. I said, go get footage of people. And Joseph's a great rider. So Joseph could keep up with everybody, which I could not if I rode. So it was great to see some of the footage that he got of people. I love that.
Now this Sky Park is, and I don't want to what you were doing with Ride and Shine.
Yeah.
But Sky Park is to be able to do that. And I know they've done things for other people and stuff. What a great place for you guys, mountain bikers.
It's
not just for riding, but to support. They really support you guys.
They do, and it's a small enough park where you can actually get to know all the players there behind the scene. From Bill, the owner, to Brad, the assistant GM, to Stephanie Burrows, who is the the event manager who helped us put it all together, to Dee in marketing, to Shepard Greer, who's on the trails, just as a trail marshal out there. There's so many people, Barry up there. There's so many people that you get to know who work at Sky Park, who help support this. And then you add to that the flavor of this whole beautiful SoCal scene and the community all intermingling. And it just feels so purposeful.
And now, and again, we're talking mountain biking.
Yeah, of course.
It's okay. It's a mountain bike Q&A. We're talking mountain bike. I don't want people to go, oh God, they're getting so deep.
We're talking about let us get deep. It's just
we're talking about, but that day, walking away from that day, were you fulfilled? Were you satisfied with what you put on and what happened?
Yeah.
Was it something that you were like, this is, I'm sure it was maybe a milestone for you. I don't know.
100% it was. And thank you for continuing to ask some great questions, because you're tapping into some conversations that I actually had leaving that day. Mark and I took some time afterward just to decompress and just to check in with people who contributed, because there's something called the vulnerability hangover. And it's when people share very openly and publicly, and it feels great at the time. And the days that follow, they can get regretful, because our brains have a way of filling in gaps of information with negative stories. So there's no possible way we know what everybody thought of it. So our brains want to fill it in with negative stories. So we took some time away from it, even before Mark and I had a chance to reconnect. But I got to tell you, I walked away from it. The number one thing I told my wife, Sarah, was, it's this rare moment in life where you get a bug up your butt for something, or you get inspired, or you get nudged, and it could always remain, hey, one day I want to. And it could just sit there, an unfinished chapter. And I got to tell you, it could have been, one day I want to put on an event at Sky Park to raise awareness for mental health. And I could be talking to you today, Johnny, saying, you know what I want to do one day? I want to put on an event like this with my friends. But what I left with was no unanswered questions. It was a completed chapter, not just for my life, but for everybody who helped support that, to say, I get to talk about the event with you. I did it. There's no lingering thoughts of what could that feel like? What could it be like on things?
How would it affect people?
Right? Exactly.
Like you said, if there was one person in that audience.
One person. Right. Yeah. So I left with a great sense of, when you call it a milestone, it is not a lingering. And look, I work with people all day like this. This
Yeah.
lingering. What if I were to? And we explore those questions all day. This was me putting to practice what I teach people. I wanted this. Yes, it was hard. Yes, there's a lot of moving pieces. Yes, people were vulnerable, and I was so grateful to them. Meg, who talked, Meg is great. She spoke, and one of the things that she always says that I love is she says, "You're only as sick as your secrets." Like once it's out there, it kind of loses its power, right? Like what's someone going to do? Make fun of you if they are? Get them out of your life. Like you don't need them, right? But all that support will come from it. But no lingering questions after that. I got my business brain on the more critical side, because everything as creatives or as people, we always think, how can we improve it? What could we have done better? So Mark and I talked about it, but I got to tell you, I look back with fondness on it. I mean, Eric Getz, who runs Vinyl Mayhem, he's known as Genius on Instagram and on YouTube. He printed stickers for the event that were given out. Like, Brett from Unspoken was there as a vendor. The whole crew like showed up and just supported. And to see even some of your favorite YouTubers sitting in that audience, like The Outsider, like MTB Allen, like these guys sitting there and supporting it, to see people as prolific as the Trail Dogs who blew up on Instagram, right, be part of it. It's a great equalizer. I loved it. And the amount of
Monday, like you said, as a creator and a business person, we're going to do, there's always that Monday morning quarterback. And
yeah,
I do this like, oh my God, I should have asked Adam. I'll do that like as soon as we get done. I'll go downstairs and I'll talk to my wife and I'll be like,
yeah.
Like, you know what, you did something great. I think out of all the stuff you do, I think that was an amazing, like that like physically moved me.
Oh, wow. That's cool. I know it was hard for people. We gave a warning at the beginning. We said, if it becomes too much, please remove yourself. We're not here to trigger anybody. We're here to help people, right? So know your threshold is what we let everybody know. We were raw. I mean, we were really raw.
Yeah.
And man, God bless Sky Park for allowing us. I told them, I go, people are going to get really heavy. You good with that? There's a family place. And they were like, this stuff needs to be talked about, is what they said to me. So
they're just going down the hill.
So good.
Mike, your boy Mike.
Yeah.
Healthy. I'm in it myself.
Yeah. Mike is such a quality. I got to know Mike a little more. We got to ride in Downeyville as part of the Outsider Patreon ride. Mike is a sharp. I mean, this dude is sharp. Great guy. For him to shout out that, therapy is so healthy and he's in it. This is a guy whose stature, you look at him and so many people be like, man, I wish I was built like you, $1 million smile, a heart of gold, all that stuff. So it's cool that he's shouting that out.
If you'd like to like and subscribe, that would be great.
Exactly. Like and subscribe.
He's in the pocket all day. Look at this guy right here. Oh, yeah. Nice of you to show up, Brett.
What's up, Brett?
Oh.
What's up, Brett?
Like
Brett was there. Brett was there. Yeah, he was one of the vendors there, a big supporter of the event. So that was awesome.
He's really got some great gear. I'm not selling anyone on this channel here right this second. It's all about Adam Mock, ladies and gentlemen.
Support my friends.
Oh, everybody knows everybody. I love it.
Everyone knows everybody, man.
My wife says she's been there.
Listen, we all have. If there's one thing I could bet money on and become a millionaire with, is we've all been there. And so for anyone who says otherwise is lying. Yeah. All been there.
All had down times in our life.
Mm-hmm. Are you an official Unspoken model, Johnny? Are you
No, seriously. I had Brett on, but it's a damn panda. It's a really cool look.
It's a cool look. I gotta say, as a designer, one of the first things I told Brett was that's just a solid panda. It's a solid design. Really, the old vector graphics when video games were coming up. Really, really clean logo, and I'm a big fan of pandas, so I just think that's dope.
There's my buddy at work. He's finally on. Thank you, because I know you're probably watching wrestling.
I love wrestling. Your buddy a wrestling fan?
Oh, you got to go to him. Toned In Entertainment.
Really?
He does kind of this with wrestlers.
I'll give you a little trivia. Toned In Entertainment and the MTB community. In another chapter of my life, pun intended, I published the autobiography of Road Warrior Animal, Road Warriors, Booker T, Big John McCarthy. So I'm a lifelong wrestling fan. Love it. Yeah, I'll still catch it when I can. So,
I love it.
Yeah.
Which were Road Warriors?
The Road Warriors were like my team growing. I wore face paint and like big shoulder pads with spikes. And I remember it's so funny. It was Hawk and Animal. Yeah, like the big like football pads, right? Hawk and Animal. When I was a kid, they were doing an autographing at J.C. Penney's. This is when I lived in Illinois. I waited in line for I think an hour and a half to have them sign my neon green Velcro wallet, Hawk and Animal. I was like, this is so dope. What I did, oh, you interviewed Animal. It's great. What I didn't know is Animal. His name's Joe Laurinaitis. He would become a friend of mine. I would go with him when he was inducted in the Hall of Fame. He let me wear his ring. Yeah, we would travel around. He thanks me in his autobiography, and we lost him 2 years ago. Almost 2 years and a couple weeks ago. My last post actually on my Instagram was about Animal.
That's right. That's right. Very Tony, get with Adam here. Wrestling, because he probably knows more than you. Brett Hollis was such an honor to be part of that day.
So cool that you were there, Brett. Yeah, Downeyville was a blast, Mike.
That looks like fun. I've seen that in play. Where's your favorite place to ride? Wow, I'm going way over your time.
Let's go. I got time. Let's do it. What's my favorite place to ride?
No, I was just pausing. I'm like, oh my God. Get more time with Adam. And I know, and people who are watching this, if we have not talked enough about the actual riding, is that Adam is more, again, I wanted to get to your ride and shine.
Yeah.
And we've talked about a little bit about riding, but everything we have talked about is about mountain biking.
Yeah. Hey, listen, my personal perspective, you can't separate the two. There are people on those bikes. That's just the truth, right? We're people, and you can only talk so much about components and gears and things like that. I geek out on it too, but
post you got.
I like having some real depth of conversation. So I appreciate you setting the table for that.
Anybody wanting to talk about pedals, whether you're clipless or flat.
I'm flat. I ride Crank Brothers Stamp 7s.
I'm thinking about going flat.
Oh, you're clipless then?
Yeah, well, where I ride is tons of pedaling.
Yeah, I can imagine that would help you. I've never tried it. I just feel like I'd be living a lie to say I ride clipless when I'm actually clipped in. So
I've never been flat.
Never been flat.
Even when I started, I had the cages.
Oh yeah, and that was clipped. Different strokes for different boats, man.
You had to do this like thing with your foot to get it to flip around, back around, and get your foot in.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's how long I've been riding.
But no, I ride flats. I ride flats.
Okay. If I take a couple months off of trail riding, folks, forgive me. I've been doing it for 25 years. I'll get back there. Lauren's with where were we going? What did we say?
Had me at Solid Panda.
She likes the. Let me tell you about. I'm going to get some of your shirts. I love your logo.
Mm-hmm.
Back because Mark is just he's our connector, I guess.
Yeah.
I had a Mark shirt. Wife took it. Now she wears it to bed.
I have a Mark shirt. I love it. It's all ratted. I got to get a new one.
Oh, hold on. TLT 199. How are you doing?
Here's
I've never been to. Have you been?
I haven't. I know it's coming up again in March. I only have an e-bike, and technically they don't allow e-bikes. And at an event that big, it would kind of be poking the dragon a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to end up there, but I would like to go.
Oh my God, Adam! I thought you were going to say you did that.
Can you imagine? I don't have the stature for that, Blair.
But that would be awesome. We're the same. I mean, I'm a year older than you, but I mean, we grew up back in the day of those.
Oh yeah, big time. And I love mass wrestlers. Lucha Libre is great.
Look at this kid. Oh, thanks for showing up, Run Bike. He doesn't even run anymore.
Oh, I see. Run Bike, Mike. Okay. He just bikes now?
Yeah, he's incredible content creator. If you don't know, he's amazing.
Biking is just running with wheels. It's all it is. Still counts. See how
Where's
that
your
works?
favorite place to ride out there?
My Sky Park. I'll
Sky
say Sky
Park.
Park. Yeah, here's
It's
the
a
thing.
drive, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, Aliso really is my spot and where I cut my teeth and really started learning a lot. And it's not necessarily a beginner trail system. I mean, those trails are like upper blues to blacks as a whole. And
Uh-huh.
I love it, but there really is too much of a good thing sometimes. And I recognize that you ride the same things over and over. You get the illusion that you've become better, and all you've done is become better at those trails. And you
Trail.
start to realize you ride a little different when you experience new things. There's so many great places to ride out here. I'll shout out a few. I love Sky Park. Within 30 minutes of one another, we have 3 awesome bike parks. Sky Park it has that more like intimate Cheers community vibe because of the town, in the bottom. We have Snow Summit, which the last day is coming up this weekend. Much more like full on bike park, chairlifts that go up, sweeping berms, big features. And we also have Snow Valley, which is a sleeper hit. It's like this decomposed granite, much more loose. We got to ride there for Mark's birthday. A lot of fun, and I think really underrated. Those are some great places. By Mark, they have Velocity. You pay, I forgot what it is to park there. If you know in the chat, you can throw it in the chat. I don't know, $10 or something on a weekend, maybe, or $5 on a weekday. And like epic, huge, like area of trails that constantly were getting built up and that you can absolutely progress on. Like there's so many great places to ride out here.
It's amazing.
It really is. It's like fun. I mean, within an hour, 90 minutes, if you go to the bike parks, you're at something great.
You brought up a good point. Is like you ride a trail enough, you're good at that trail.
Yeah.
And there's so many different, like my riding is very different than your riding.
Correct. Yeah.
Here, people don't get it. It's very technical. Google Virginia or YouTube Virginia Keep.
Okay.
I mean, it's all wooden skinnies. It's pretty much a wooden park because the hurricane came and knocked everything down. So they adapted to create it. There's a lot of technical here, and it's all pedaling. But then I'll go out to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and ride, and I'm like, my arms hurt from braking. So it's downhill.
Yeah, that's what it's like more here. So in the height of summer, yeah, in the height of summer, the conditions change so much. Dusty, blown out. The trails that had way more grip during the winter months when we would get some rain are like icing. You could ice down some of these trails, and then like sometimes you have those dusty conditions, huge heavy rain that washes that all away, and then all these jagged things are exposed, the ruts from the rainwater, and it's like the trail just changed overnight. It keeps you on your toes.
Oh, I'd like the fact that when you do ride, I don't know how to put it. I do know how to put it because you're the same way, and we've probably already discussed it. You're like beeline.
Yeah,
You have no problem with that.
I have no problem with that.
I love that about you.
I have no
Mark, you guys had a ride not too long ago together, and I watched yours and watched his, and he had mic'd you up and whatnot.
Yeah, that was at Snow Valley. Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, just go. You ride your ride.
Yeah. Mark is so supportive. And you can see what I was talking about, where I feel like I'm just in this regressive season right now. I feel much more timid on the bike now. Like I can't, the thing is, when you work for yourself, it's hard because if you get hurt, it's not like I have vacation days I can take, that means like canceling clients and finances and all kinds of things. So if I break my wrist, my hand, I'm not doing an art project then. Right. If I can't walk, I can't keep my commitment to be on stage and do a presentation, and like speak to a group of people. So there's a lot of things I'm constantly going, look, I'm not paid to do this. So it's not worth it. The risk is not worth the reward for me on a lot of things. It's not to say I don't like the thrill of it or progressing or the accomplishments, right? But yeah, I'm trying to be more careful about it. And that's a great video to see. I highly encourage all of you. Watch Mark's video on Snow Valley. Watch Tony's on it. Watch Vankava's. Watch mine. You'll see all kinds of different riding. Yeah.
See the different riding. And you it's a great point because we're a little up there in our age.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I always say I have great health insurance. I just don't want to use it.
It's great.
I mean, seriously, I don't like hurting.
Yeah, none of us do. There's
We're-
this weird, I think there's still this weird bravado that we have in our community to some degree where it's like, I don't like getting my shins knocked by my pedals. And I know you wear you're clipless, but it flipping hurts. And I've had a friend of mine tear his calf open, USO Cal on a ride, get 13 stitches. And so like I like to be geared up and it sucks to get hurt, man.
The full on, don't you?
I do most of the times, and I'll tell you why I did that. I used to not have any kind of torso protection at all, and I have varying levels of it now. There's a trail called TNA out here in Laguna, officially known as Laguna Ridge Trail. Towards the end of it, it gets spicier, and there's a part that I call Choose Your Own Adventure, and it's a part that really says after this, things ramp up with the tech. And you can choose to roll through a part where you're threading the needle with your handlebars through some rocks, a rock roll. And then there's a steep rock roll to the left of that. And to the left of that is a drop that you can huck. I don't have the skill to do it. Mark just did it recently on a ride when we were out there. So I was trying the middle roll for the first time, and I had my Ibis Ripmo. And I had done rolls like this at a place called Santiago Oaks. I felt confident. The run into it is dicey. It's not a smooth run in. So, you just have to have a lot of momentum, keep your wits about you. And I did the roll, and the end of it was washed out. And I don't know, I did not grab a handful of front brake. I normally don't use a lot of front brake. But I got tomahawked, meaning like I just went OTB. Ooh. And I hit the ground so hard. I used to have a GoPro chest mount. Under all that sand was just a rock slab. I remember hitting the GoPro, my chest hurt, but then the bike came around and the sharp part of the saddle hit my spleen. And my body started quivering, and I had never felt that sensation before. And I was worried that I had broken ribs and maybe some internal damage. And and Blair's a really so Blair coaches people down that part, so he knows exactly what I'm talking about. But when I got tomahawked by that, it didn't just put me out. The truth of the matter is, like, it taxes even my family. Thank God I have a wonderful wife who's understanding, but it meant like, can you help me physically get out of bed? Grab my arms and lift me up. I can't move. Like my ribs feel wrecked. My spleen hurts. It could have ruptured after the fact, they said. So I had to be very careful. And as I got to an e-bike, which is heavier, and I know that OTB is always a possibility when you least expect it, I don't want to get hit with a 50+ pound bike in the ribs.
No.
So I wear protection. I wear torso armor whenever I can now.
I gotta buy protection.
What's that?
I gotta buy protection. I walk naked.
Do you really?
Yeah, I know protection.
You have no elbow pads, no knee pads?
My friend makes fun of me. He says I don't ride hard enough because I don't fall. I never fall.
Weird thing to tell somebody. Some of like the worst accidents happen on fire roads, and like the parts where you're not. It's not where you're paying attention. It's where you're not paying attention.
Oh, see.
Well, that's nice. Run bike, Mike.
Killer. The guy is a graphic artist, Mike. I'm sorry. I don't mean to talk about anyone else. This guy's got great content. Anywho, you have a family. So,
I do. I have a wonderful family.
And I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I do want to ask you, and you talk about this in one of your Instagrams. Hold on. Do you know this kid?
I do. Robert rides me all the time. You see Robert in a lot of my videos. Yeah. I love Robert. He's a great friend. It's great that he can tune in. He probably just got off of work or is watching in his car, so that's really cool.
I know. I feel bad that the 3 hours messes. I'm glad you were able to do it. You could do it. I mean, I'd stay.
I'm grateful.
I am. She's like,
she's your producer. This is cool.
She actually was my producer at one point in my life.
There you go.
A friend does this at the end of his podcast, and I know you had mentioned this in your Instagrams. Before you wake up and put your feet on the floor,
yeah.
What are 3 things that you're grateful with mountain biking and YouTubing and all
Uh-huh.
that stuff.
You do your homework, Johnny. That's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
For those who don't know, real quick, I'm going to add context. I'm going to answer your question. One of the questions I ask people, especially when I do like group presentations, is what's your first thought when you wake up in the morning? And most people, unfortunately, their first thought is the to-do list. And I really encourage people to make your first thought some kind of intention. It's just a lot better. It sets the tone for your day. The to-do list is always there. One of the things I do besides setting an intention for myself is I have a gratitude practice, but the challenge I have is I have to give 3 things that I'm grateful for before my feet hit the ground. But they can't be the same 3 things every day, or it'll be meaningless. It's easy to sit there and be grateful for my wife and my kids, right? My 2 kids, there's 3 right there. If I do that every day, it loses some potency. So to answer your question, I'm grateful for this moment with you. I'm grateful I get to know a little more about you, Johnny, and connect. It's something I've sincerely wanted to do. People speak so highly of you. I think you have a wonderful, warm, welcoming personality. You're really good at what you do. And so I'm grateful. Listen, I'm grateful to be a step along the way of your success. I'm grateful for the questions you asked today. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to share just about life here on an MTB Q&A podcast. I can't move away from that. I want to encourage all of you out there. I don't care what your platform is. I don't care. And I don't care how small or how big it is. You have a voice. Use it. Ask yourself if you're creating stuff that is of value to people, because you never know who needs to hear it that day. That's why mountain biking is so important to me right now, because beyond getting on the trails, it allows me a voice to help other people in ways I could have never imagined. So I'm grateful that you gave me an opportunity to do that. And the third thing, grateful for the people who showed up and tuned in and chimed in the chat, people within our community, new people that I'm going to meet. Honestly, I say it in a lot of my videos, that it makes my heart smile. I genuinely mean that. What a wonderful feeling to feel this like welling up of warmth in your chest and in your spirit, knowing that you're surrounded by a community who embraces you, accepts you, and loves you. Thank you for that.
The third one was good. Okay, folks, wow. Thank you so much. I mean, we've gone over like beyond. It's ridiculous.
I had a great time, dude. Thank you. This was like,
like I said, walk downstairs and be like, oh, but that's what's great. I hope I've opened a channel here, and that one day again we can reconnect again.
Oh God! Whenever you want, just hit me. A bucket list check for me. I got to be on Johnny U's MTB Q&A, so it's great.
I haven't been fishing. You're ridiculous. You and Mark. Actually, I'm going to check you guys off. It's done. I'm going to post put the things here with the Adams and the Mocks and the Instagrams, and it's all down in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Absolutely.
Adam?
Oh, are we doing? Hey,
I got my wife to bring it.
Yeah, what you got there?
Cheers.
Cheers, Johnny.
Good, whatever.
That was perfect. You got this. Hang with it. You're gonna get that nice little ember in your stomach in a minute. Hey, while you're catching your breath, can I just say peace and love to everybody? What a pleasure this was.
Peace and love.
There you go.
Thank you so much, Adam.
Thanks, Johnny.
I got to hit that thing.